So here is a, I don't know, somewhat uncomfortable fact. You really didn't know who you were marrying. Love is a leap of faith, they say, and they might be right. My next guest has concluded that making a marriage last might actually be about fostering resiliency rather than marrying perfectly. Studio 5 contributor Dr. Matt Townsend is here with the first of a two-part conversation about what resilient couples do to stand the test of time. Hey there.
Good to be here.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Last week.
I'm aging.
You're aged.
Not beautifully,
You're aged.
but it's
Oh, I would
aging.
disagree. You had a good day?
Had a great day.
You're so loved.
Lots of family, lots of fun, lots of activities.
It's nice to feel
I need a
celebrated.
rest from my birthday.
He's aged. Let him rest.
Can a man not sleep? Yeah.
Okay, I love the word resilient, and I feel like we most often apply it to kids. Like kids are so resilient. You say couples need to be too.
Yep.
How do you define resiliency in a marriage?
So the way I look at it, resiliency is the ability to experience difficult things and then to respond based on values, based on your abilities, based on what would be best for you. So it's the ability to adapt and be flexible to the difficult things in life.
Which is so crucial for so many reasons. We know there's going to be hard things.
Yeah. What if all of a sudden your husband's been working for 20 years and he quits his job? And now the two of you are left to have to be together. And we have to figure it out, right? That's where all of a sudden resiliency matters. And it matters, by the way, in two individuals being resilient that then know how to turn it toward the marriage to be resilient.
You've identified a handful of really basic things. I mean, they are basic to some extent, but I can see the modern day struggle around them. These are things resilient couples do to help their relationships last. We're going to talk about half this week, half next week. They're all really good. First, a mark of a resilient relationship is when you focus on fixing yourself and not your partner.
Yeah, the minute you put everything in your life onto someone else to fix, you've eliminated your ability to be resilient to it, right? Because then you can just hope they get it, they know what to fix, they fix it right, they crush it the way you need it crushed. So you've literally just taken all the things you could have some influence on and moved it on to someone else. So instead, what if we just learn to work on ourselves? And if our partner isn't stepping up to certain things, what if we learn to actually communicate better? What if I learn to accept that that's kind of who they are, and maybe start to manage my expectation a little bit more, and maybe then be willing to take, because the cool thing is, once I get stronger in what I can do, it makes it so I can weirdly do more and make bigger and better decisions going forward, because I'm more empowered now.
We hear often, you know, for coaches or therapists, like one person can change a marriage. There's sort of an asterisk with that. Like you can only do so much for the actual coupleship, but you can change the dance, you can change the energy, and working on yourself is all you have control over.
And as soon as you get that, then you actually approach it differently. If you are out in the desert and you don't have a ride home, you can hope a ride comes, or you can start taking it on yourself to do what you can in the situation. And part of resiliency is just not doing everything, but doing what you can do, and not necessarily doing what somebody else can do. Right? Just take on your load first, then we'll work on what we can do with each other.
You say resilient couples become intentional about differences, navigating their differences.
Yeah, so there is a point where, and in fact, John Gottman's research teaches that about 66% of our issues, our conflict in a relationship, it's unresolvable. There are things that aren't going to change. You're not going to change your in-laws. You're not going to change your husband's diabetic family history. You're not changing a bunch of stuff. So as soon as you accept the difference, that it's real, he's not an early riser. She's not the life of the party. She likes to kind of sit back and watch and not always talk. So if you'll just accept the difference, what's weird about accepting it is then you don't have to play against it. You don't have to notice it everywhere. You can just say, that's my person being my person, right? Like I just had my great birthday and my wife planned a killer day, and we're just different. I would have a day on my birthday of less, and my wife has a day of more. And I could fight it all day, but the whole day I was just watching how much she loves me to try to fill that day up.
Yeah.
And to fill it up with the right people, the right place, the right time.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But it was actually right.
Yeah.
And it was healthy. Sometimes the differences are right for you. Like if you are really introverted, it might be right to have an extrovert. And if you'll just accept the extroversion, they might get you into a world that is actually weirdly good for you too.
I've observed, you know, I get
Yeah.
to have a front row seat to
Yeah.
all of these awesome minds and ideas and conversations. And it seems we're moving more toward the idea that acceptance and love go together. But
Yeah.
previously, they've been two separate
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah, we never had to.
But acceptance kind of is the pathway
Yeah.
to love, right?
And it's also the pathway to just peace.
Peace.
Because I don't know if you've noticed, there's not a lot we control. So as soon as you just can learn to accept what
Yeah.
is, you weirdly have way more peace than trying to control what you don't have any control over.
You've noted there's all sorts of polarizing ideas in marriage, ways that couples kind of take the either or approach.
Yeah.
You've got love or pain,
Yeah.
change or status quo,
Yeah.
aloneness or togetherness.
Yeah.
And then this idea of losing myself and protecting myself. That's
A
interesting.
lot of people are really open to being vulnerable, and a lot are really self-protecting. And that's a difference, right? But so how do we, if you have a partner that shares too much publicly, and then a partner that never shares anything publicly, that's a pretty big difference. And the more you fight about it, because he shares too much and she shares too little, the very polarization is what begets the other side. If she never shares, he has to share more, right? And if he always shares, the more she wouldn't want to share. So a lot of times you didn't marry your opposite. A lot of times you've created the opposite by being so polarized in every facet of the relationship. So part of this is the key is to understand that there's polarizing ideas, but more importantly about it is see if you can't start moving to the middle. In the middle of these two polarized ideas, there's a lot of commonality and a lot of good. So we want to move to the middle of our relationship and live more out of the middle, not the extremes.
Love it.
If we can
Love
do
it.
that.
We're going to reach to the Bible dictionary for this next
it's a
one.
huge one.
Couples need to cleave unto each other.
Unto each other. If I have one more couple come in with a fight with the in-laws and the daughter-in-law, I'm going to have my head explode. Because their parents don't know how to let their kids go.
Yeah.
And the kid doesn't know how to maybe push on their partner to put them in check. So anytime I see a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law problem, there's only ever one problem, and that's the son. Because if the son would push the mom back on the mom a little bit more and cleave to his wife, and then if he would push on his wife and make her be nice and independent, then all of a sudden you have an independent son, you'll have a better relationship with mom and dad. If you have a codependent child on either side, those two are going to fight all of the time. So at some point, we need to learn to cleave to our partner, be their protector, be there for them, and know how to move on in a healthy way, which is what we as parents should be doing, is helping our kids move on.
And should be wanting that for them.
Yeah.
30 seconds for this last point. A resilient couple is real and vulnerable.
You got to learn to be real and vulnerable. All of the greatest steps of intimacy demand risk, right? So to get down on that knee and give the ring is very risky. What if she says no? To be intimate physically is very risky. What if something goes wrong? What if it's embarrassing? To have children is risky. All of life is risk. So the more real we can be about our fears, our concerns, the more we can voice, and the more vulnerable we can be, the more we actually create intimacy. If you want closeness in your relationship, learn to be more vulnerable with each other, and then we have to hold the vulnerability. I call it build a vault of vulnerability, where my partner can say and do and be anything in that vault, and I'll protect it. I've got her back.
Has anyone told you you're good at this? Has
No.
anyone told
No.
you are
I need
living
that.
your gift and sharing your legacy? Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Brooklyn.
Part 2 of this next week, 4 other markers of resilient couples. In the meantime, I know you have several programs that help couples get to this place of togetherness.
My favorite one that we're talking about lately is Becoming One, which is, it's just a really affordable program. It's about what you'd pay for one date a month, but you get 4 hours of live coaching with me. And we're in a community. You can come on, ask questions. You can watch me answer questions, and you can get access to hundreds and hundreds of hours of video and podcasts and other things that I do. Discounts on everything else, all of our other classes. It's just a really cool community. And every Friday we gather and we work on becoming one.
It's one of the best things you've done.
Awesome.
Dare I say that? Because you've done a lot of great things. But MattTownsend.com is where you go for more information on that program and all of his other books and resources as well. You're awesome, Matt. Thanks so much.